Oh, I'm recording. Okay, so hi class. So this is a reading of Veterans Day, Never Forget Their Duty by John McCain. What I'm going to do in this reading is I'm going to read and then I'm going to pause at certain points and just talk to the text. This is how I usually read. I usually have a pen in hand and I'm writing questions down. I am making comments. I'm making connections as well. So I'm just going to do that verbally so you can see what it's like. Okay, so this is Veterans Day, Never Forget Their Duty by John McCain. November 10th, 2002. Originally appeared in the November 10th, 2002 issue of the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. 1. Let me tell you what I think about our Pledge of Allegiance, our flag, and our country. I want to tell you about when I was a prisoner of war. Okay, I'm going to stop here. Right away, John McCain mentions 3 things, right? The Pledge of Allegiance, the flag, and the country. And right away, I'm thinking these 3 things are really important. What does he want to say about them? How is he going to connect them? And I better pay attention to see what connects with these 3 things. Okay, 2. I spent 5 years in Hanoi Hilton in the early years of our imprisonment. The North Vietnamese kept us in solitary confinement or 2 or 3 to a cell. In 1971, the North Vietnamese moved us from these conditions of isolation into large rooms with as many as 30 to 40 men to a room. This was, as you can imagine, a wonderful change and a direct result of the efforts of millions of Americans led by people like Nancy and Ronald Reagan on behalf of a few hundred POWs 10,000 miles from home. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and pause and just make a mental note for myself that this part here where it says a direct result of the efforts of millions of Americans, this actually makes me feel really proud because I know that if we all use our voice in unison for something that we want to happen, we can make it happen. So this makes me think of like protest and justice. And so if we collectively work for something and use our voice, this leads me to believe that we can achieve it. Okay, moving on. 4. One of the men who moved into my cell was Mike Christian. Mike came from a small town near Selma, Alabama. He didn't wear a pair of shoes until he was 13 years old. At 17, he enlisted in the U.S. Navy. He later earned a commission. He became a naval flying officer and was shot down and captured in 1967. Okay, so he's talking about this guy, Mike Christian, who was also POW, a prisoner of war. And he came from Selma, Alabama. And right away, I think of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. from his March on Selma. He didn't wear a pair of shoes until he was 13. So that leads me to believe that Mike Christian was poor. He might have lived in poverty. And at 17, he enlisted in the Navy. So perhaps there was no other outlet for him. Maybe, you usually graduate high school at 18. And then most people would go get a job or go to college. And some people choose the military. And he chose the military. He chose the Navy. And he seemed to get out of this poverty. He did well in the Navy, right? He got a commission. So we see right here, it says commission is the order that grants an officer's rank in the military. So he moves up in the military, but unfortunately his plane was shot down in 67. Okay, moving on. Mike had a keen and deep appreciation for the opportunities this country and our military provide for people who want to work and want to succeed. So this really leads me to think of the U.S. as the land of opportunity, right? So that's kind of like what we're known for. You come to this land, you come to this country for opportunity. If you're in this country, you have opportunity at your fingertips. This can be argued, but for the sake of just sticking with this text, we won't argue it. Okay. 6. The uniforms we wore in prison consisted of a blue short-sleeved shirt, trousers that looked like pajama trousers, and rubber sandals that were made out of automobile tires. I recommend them highly, and one pair lasted me my entire stay. I can attest to that because I have had tire sandals from Mexico, and they're pretty good. Okay, so they're POWs, and they get moved to better conditions. Um, and he's just talking about what they would wear. Okay, moving on. Number 7. As part of the change in treatment, the Vietnamese allowed some prisoners to receive packages from home. In some of these packages were handkerchiefs, scarves, and other items of clothing. Mike got himself a piece of white cloth and a piece of red cloth and fashioned himself a bamboo needle. Over a period of a couple of months, he sewed the American flag on the inside of his shirt. Wow. So there's the connection. In the very beginning, he talked about the Pledge of Allegiance. He talked about the flag. He talked about the country. And here it is. Here I see that connection to flag and country. And what do we do with the flag? So that's important. I'm going to start number 7. Number 8. Every afternoon before we had a bowl of soup, we would hang Mike's shirt on the wall of our cell and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I know that saying the Pledge of Allegiance may not seem like the most important or meaningful part of our day now, but I can assure you that for those men in the stark prison cell, it was indeed the most important and meaningful event of our day. Hey, I can see that. What does the Pledge of Allegiance signify? What does it represent? It represents our country, our states. What does our country represent? Remember, we went back to like the land of the home and the free and the brave, the Revolutionary War. We have the Constitution. We have rights and we have freedom. And pledging allegiance is maybe perhaps reminding these prisoners that they swore an oath to protect and to serve. So I can see definitely how that would be extremely valuable in this situation. Number 9. One day, the Vietnamese searched our cell and discovered Mike's shirt with the flag sewn inside and removed it. That evening, they returned, opened the door of the cell, called for Mike Christian to come out, closed the door of the cell, and, for the benefit of all of us, beat Mike Christian severely for the next couple of hours. Okay. So they knew what they were doing, and they knew what it signified, right? They know that, would they gain strength in repeating the Pledge of Allegiance? Would they find renewed hope and strength maybe to fight back for their country? Who knows? But those are my thoughts, and that's what I would be writing down on my notes. Okay, 10. Then they opened the door of the cell and threw him back inside. Just that sentence alone by itself kind of really stands out to me. It's almost like they just discarded him as trash, right? Like, we're going to beat you up and then lock you back up in your cell. Okay, 11. He was not in good shape. We tried to comfort and take care of him as well as we could. The cell in which we lived had a concrete slab in the middle of which we slept, and 4 naked light bulbs in each corner of the room. After things quieted down, I went to lie down to go to sleep. As I did, I happened to look in the corner of the room. Sitting there, beneath the dim light bulb, with a piece of white cloth, a piece of red cloth, another shirt, and his bamboo needle, was my friend Mike Christian. Sitting there, with his eyes almost shut from his beating, making another American flag. Wow. Well, if we want to talk about what patriotism looks like, if I had to answer that question based on this text, I would say patriotism looks like sacrificing yourself for love and hope of your country, or sacrificing yourself, risking injury, accepting injury in order to keep the idea and ideals of your country alive, maybe not just for yourself, but for others who were there with him as POWs. Okay, 14. He was not making the flag because it made Mike Christian feel better. He was making the flag because he knew how important it was for us to be able to pledge our allegiance to our flag and country. There it is. So he was doing it for others. So sacrifice, right? Um, is it almost martyrish? I'm not sure. That it can be left up to interpretation, but I see sacrifice. 15. Duty, honor, country. We must never forget those thousands of Americans who, with their courage, with their sacrifice, and with their lives, made those words live for all of us. And that's it. That is the entire piece that we're reading in class. So, with this piece, you're going to have a few questions. And ultimately, you're going to write about what does the word patriot mean? And I want you to give an extended definition of it. I want you to use this version of what a patriot means as a platform or jumping off point, if you will. So you can either agree with this or you can qualify it. You can agree with some parts and also add in your own parts that you would also consider being a patriot, or you can disagree with it. So that's it. I hope this helped. Please continue to read it on your own and make sure you write your own notes, and then we'll move on to the TDQs together.